Welcome to the inaugural video of the Modern Paladin Project. This first video is really just going to kind of lay the groundwork, kind of explain, what the channel is, what it's going to be about, who I am, what I'm about. We're not going to get much else done today. So the Modern Paladin Project, where that really stems from is Colonel David Grossman, U.S. Army Rangers, psychologist, retired military Army. He used to teach classes called The Bulletproof Mind, and I attended one of those probably, 15 or more years ago when I was a police officer. And in the class, Colonel Grossman made the comparison of the modern police officer to a medieval knight. He said that, a medieval knight would strap on armor, pick up a shield, grab a sword, and ride off to battle in defense of the kingdom, the realm. And he said that, modern police officers did the same thing. They'd strap on body armor, put a shield on their chest, grab their sidearm, their equivalent of a sword, and go out into the world to defend the realm. And I kind of liked that comparison, especially I have Welsh ancestry, so knights were a thing there. I kind of liked that comparison, but it occurred to me that knights weren't always good guys. Historically speaking, and even in a lot of fictional accounts, knights did some pretty dirty, crooked crap, some of them. So I really felt that while it was a good base for the point he was trying to make, I felt that a paladin would be a better comparison to what the police officers should be. Not necessarily that they actually are, but what they should be. And from that point on, I strove to be a paladin. And for those who don't know, a paladin is pretty much always a good guy. He's and it's mostly fictional, but they are almost always consistently portrayed as being the good guy. Now, Dungeons and Dragons, they can be played as evil, but even, when I was playing D&D back in high school, you couldn't even be evil as a paladin. It was always a good guy. Now they let evil alignments be paladins, but even then you have to be a lawful alignment. So even as an evil paladin, they're straightforward, upright guys who don't lie, cheat, deceive, do underhanded crap to get where they're going. They move straight forward into battle in an honest and forthright type of way. So I really felt paladin, even though it's mostly fictional, was still a better ideal to strive for. And so I adopted that as my standard I was going to try to get myself to and hold myself to. Here I am, not quite making it, but we'll get into that. So, that's where the Modern Paladin Project idea came from, and I really feel that every military law enforcement officer, should try to be a paladin. That's the ideal they should look for. Now, who am I? I'm going to go by the call sign Paladin. I retired as a police officer about a year ago after 27 years. I'm kind of leaning towards headed back into law enforcement, and for that reason I don't really want to just dox myself. I don't want confusion between whatever agency I land at if I do go back into law enforcement and my personal views. So I'm going to try to eliminate that a little bit by not putting my real name. I do have my face, and maybe somebody will figure it out someday if more than 3 people ever watch this video, any of my videos. But I'm not going to put my name out there or where I live specifically. So for that reason, I'm going to go by the call sign Paladin. Yes, I assigned it myself, but you know, I don't think that's so terrible. I was allowed to choose my own call sign when I was in the Marine Corps, so I'll choose a new one now. Anyway, 27 years as law enforcement, as I kind of touched on. 17 of it with a city with a population of about 10,000 in the Midwest. The 10 prior to that last 17 were smaller cities than that in the Midwest. Active duty in the Marine Corps, 88 to 92. I didn't quite catch Desert Storm. The unit I was with didn't deploy. I was infantry. And then in 03, I enlisted in the Army Reserve and ended up deployed with an Army unit that went to Iraq in 05. Excuse me. While there, I didn't really get into much of anything crazy. I do have my CIB, but we'll talk about that in another video later. You know, law enforcement, military, I've never been in a small arms firefight. I did fire mortars. That's where the CIB comes from. Take indirect fire in that also, but anyway, you know, they say been there, done that. I really kind of say that I've been in the neighborhood and I've seen some things, you know. Haven't really done that much. So when I speak about any topic, I'm not trying to present myself as an expert. I'm not trying to say I know anything, and I'm not trying to teach anyone anything. What I discuss will be from what experience I have. It'll be, this is how I do things, the way I do them, why I do them that way. You know, if somebody finds value in that, great, that's wonderful. If I get feedback that shows me a better way, that's wonderful too. You know, this is meant to be a learning experience for myself and for whoever sees these videos. What I'm really going to be making the videos about will be my efforts to get closer to being what I could call myself a Paladin. You know, I'm using the call sign Paladin. That doesn't make me one, and I get that. You know, I'm way out of shape, 230 pounds, at least 40 more than I should weigh. I don't train as much with combatives, whether it's unarmed or armed, as I should. You know, my finances and my house aren't in the household. Preparations are not where they should be. I mean, we're comfortable, but I'm not out there killing it, making $1 million a year. You know, I can do better. And that's kind of what this channel is going to be about. It's going to be my documenting and talking about my efforts to be a better man. And again, I hope somebody gains value out of that. I hope other people are able to provide some guidance that I can use as well. So the whole thing's really meant more as a discussion. I'm going to talk about philosophy. I'm going to talk about mindset behind things. I'm going to talk about some tactics. I'm going to talk about some weapons choices. I'm going to talk about, you know, health and fitness. I'm going to talk about hobbies and pastimes. You know, that's kind of the whole point of what this channel is going to be. It's going to be, we'll talk about preparations for, you know, gathering food and skill sets and you know, hoarding supplies to survive if the world collapses tomorrow, you know, giant meteor, you know, whatever might happen. We're going to talk about a bunch of that kind of stuff. As you've seen from this first video, I'm going to ramble a bit. I'm not going to do a bunch of editing. I'm not going to clean it up. Whatever comes out of my mouth is what you're going to see on the video. I'm not going to script anything. I'm going to come in with ideas about where I want to go in the conversation and just run with it. And where we wind up is what you're going to see. So, all right, well, 10 minutes down, long enough listening to me rattle about nothing. Whoever sees the video, I appreciate you. I'll make some more and put them out there for you. Thank you.